to know you a whole lot. And then he started asking me questions, and the interest level just seemed a lot different than what I was used to. It was a very different conversation.
Wow. How did that make you? I mean, when you think about what you do for a living, I mean, we know that we do mortgages, but the real truth is we are connectors. We get paid to connect people with either our service or other people's services, but our job is to expand our brand through relationships. Now, you can approach your business in a variety of different ways. However, I think the greatest success and the greatest balance and the greatest validation comes from the clients and the audience that we speak to and work with who value, trust, and believe that we are the best partner to go through the home buying process with.
Yeah.
Now, the hardest part about that is how do you convince the audience who's never heard it, who's never felt it, to believe that? And that really comes through in what you talked about with the realtor about.
Yeah.
So where did you think the greatest, like when did you, I mean, do you remember when that moment shifted where the realtor shifted from, believing that you were just another LO to, while going, this guy's got some value that, I mean, you knew that there was a point in that conversation where you got was like, wow, I didn't think that this was possible.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just like when I asked, I think it was when I asked the question, that you had kind of given me, and that specific question was, what makes you referable? And then after he kind of gave his answer, it was a very generic sort of answer, and I was just like, and then I kind of laid it down for him the same way that you laid it down for me. I was like, you're a problem solver. You're a manager of fears and expectations, and you're a master negotiator and stuff. And like that's when I think that he kind of, the light switch flipped, and he was like, wow, he really kind of knows what he's talking about. So
it took you from being, so again, we had talked about there's only one thing that makes you different than every other loan officer on the planet, brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that?
That makes me different?
Yeah.
And that is I'm trying to remember the way that you worded it. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the way that you specifically worded it.
It's the words that come out of your mouth, brother. It's the words that come out of your mouth, brother. It's that simple.
Right.
So the things that we talk about are just the result of you believing that what you say is the only thing that makes you different. So when your realtor asked, what makes you referable, and the realtor gave you a generic answer, we come across the exact same way when a realtor is meeting with us or when a client is meeting with us.
Right.
And that's the whole premise behind.
Yeah, and that was something that really kind of struck me when he gave me that answer. I was like, well, that's kind of something that I almost expected him to say.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
Bingo.
So.
And when you expect, when you know how to orchestrate those moments, and that's a really keen point, Tim, I love that. When you are expecting a result, when you know before you even open your mouth that you're going to lead somebody to a path that you know what their response is going to be, it gives you the power to actually orchestrate these moments. It almost becomes a fun little game. It almost becomes a fun little experiment when you can have a conversation with somebody and you go, I already know what they're going to say, so I'm 5 steps ahead of them. And when you ask them, you sit down and go, listen, I already probably think you're asking yourself why you should use me. And to be honest, my friend, I'm asking the same thing. So I'm hoping today we could sit down and have this conversation about whether or not we'd be a great partnership to work together or if we're better off apart. And obviously I'm going to be in business tomorrow and you're going to be in business tomorrow, but I'm hoping that we could spend some time trying to figure out what your business belief system is, and I'll tell you what mine is, and we'll see if we're a good fit. So, I always like to ask these, ask realtors that I meet with, so what makes you referable? You already know the answer that every realtor is going to give you. So you already know what your response is going to be, and that puts you it elevates your credibility. I mean, I think the reason you felt that shift in that dialogue was because what you gave him was something of value. You taught him something about his business that he's never heard before. but it resonates with him. It comes across as being valuable. And when you can create value in your conversations, or you can create value in somebody, what inherently becomes their response to you? How can I help you?
Right.
It's the law of reciprocity.
Reciprocation.
And when the guy says, wow, I've never heard that before, that's when you step up and go, you know what? This is why I'm so particular about the real estate agents that I choose to work with, because not everybody gets it. See, I'm only interested in working with realtors that understand the principles of referability and understands the value. And imagine if I'm saying the same things that you're saying, how much strength does that provide us when we're talking to the clients, and how much more likely do you think that client's going to be to refer us?
Right.
You already know the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to have these realtors on, they're literally going to have their head on a swivel, because I'm willing to bet you, and I could be wrong, and please, if you run into a situation, prove me wrong, you will never have a conversation with a realtor like the one that you're having with me and that you can have with your agents, and ever have a realtor go, yeah, no, that doesn't really make any sense to me. And if a realtor does come across that way, that's when you just look at them and go, you know what, I appreciate you meeting with me, but I just don't think this is a good fit.
Right.
That's when you become the prize, and they become, they become the commodity.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that was just it. I haven't had a whole ton of meetings here in my young loan officer career here, but, I never even thought it was possible to have somebody like, at the end of the meeting, get up, shake my hand, and before I even have the opportunity to say anything, say, I really enjoyed my time with you. I really think that we should meet again. I would love to do some business. And I was like, I almost didn't know what to say. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean? So,
That's awesome. Wow. Wow. And
That's
you know
cool.
what that tells me? You know what that tells me, Tim?
Yeah.
It tells me that you have what it takes. So I would give you this. And there's not much more I can do for you, and I mean, we'll continue to have these conversations, but I think, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, your greatest deficiency right now is that you're not having more of those conversations. And if I was to challenge you right now, I would say between now and next Thursday, you should schedule 7 realtor appointments with agents you've never met before and go into it seeking just to have this conversation with them, and that's it.
Yeah.
2 things happen. 1, you practice your craft. 2, you get to expand your brand with agents that undoubtedly want to hear what you have to say now.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Are you up for that challenge?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to wiggle my way into that. I've been trying to get my way into that here. Schedule some more of those meetings and stuff. So I'm absolutely up for that.
What's stopping you from doing it?
I mean, it's something that I just recently got into my head, so I just need to do it.
Okay. So
David's
probably the master realtor networker. If you want any advice on how to set them up, I think David's the perfect person to talk to. But between now and next Thursday, I want your commitment that you'll do 7 of them. I want you to go out and have coffee or have a quick conversation with 7 realtors. And if you're interested in, how do you pick up the phone and call them? The call them is, and I'm recording this call so you guys can replay this. The script is something like this. Hey, my name is Tim Donner. I wanted to talk to you about how successful you are at creating referrals with your current clients. I have a system that I believe helps amplify relationships, and I'd love a chance to talk to you. If you got 5 minutes, I'd love a chance to just talk to you for a quick minute and see if I might be of value. That's the voicemail you leave. That's it.
Short and sweet.
You don't have to tell them you're a loan officer, because then you're going to get pigeonholed. Meaning no matter what you say, all they're going to hear is loan officer. Delete. Don't tell them you're a loan officer. Tell them you're in your name, and tell them that you have something of value to give them. Hey, I've got a system that increases your chances of getting current client referrals. I'm not sure if you're interested in that, but I would love to show you my technique and figure out a way if I might be able to be of value to you. Leave it. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
And then if they ask you if you're a loan officer, yeah. Go ahead, David.
I never mentioned that I'm a loan officer ever in a voicemail.
Ever.
I agree with you. No, let's keep going. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I think until you have a chance to create an image of who you are, telling them that you're a loan officer is it's like the death of a salesman, because in that point they're going to associate you with every other loan officer that's ever solicited them for any kind of business. And the truth is that you're not. You truly aren't. So don't put yourself in that position. And if they ask you, you don't lie. You don't. I mean, you don't tell them you're not. What you say is, yeah, I do mortgages, but I'm not interested in leads from you. You know, I'm not trying to get leads. I'm simply trying to help my realtor partners become more referable. I don't know if you want that or not. I'd love to show you something that I do, and if you got time for a cup of coffee, I'd love to give you one piece of information, and if it's a value or not, if it's a value, great, we can continue talking, but if it's not, then we'll go our separate ways. That's it. Yeah, I'm a loan officer, but that's not why I'm calling you. Yeah. I'm calling because I got one thing to share with you that might help you increase your abilities to create better relationships. And you can go out there and go, do with the conversation you have with that realtor and watch the impact. And you'll be able to pick up on the agents that want to be referable and the agents that really don't know what the hell they're doing and don't care to know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
That Pick Your Brain voicemail script, that was genius too. That worked like a charm.
See? Perfect. Perfect. Cool. All right, Mr. David, I'm sitting here on bated breath, buddy. What's the big news?
Well, so I was meeting with an agent yesterday, and the agent, the meeting went off. She was an agent, and then she left the business to be a flight attendant, then came back. And her first year in business, when she first started, she did $8 million in production. Well, now she needs some help getting started back up with marketing. So we had a really great meeting. And at the end of the meeting, it was cool. She goes, "You're my mortgage guy." She was like, "You're my guy that I'm going to for mortgages and for with my clients." That was really cool. But she wasn't too happy with the atmosphere, the brokerage that she was in, and because no agents come in the office, she's like, "I feed off that energy of coming in and talking with the other agents, saying, hey, I did this for this, and having that atmosphere." And I was like, "Jackie, I agree with you. I feed off that too. It's awesome when I go to my my office in Brighton when everyone's there and we're all working, and it motivates you." So then what ended up happening is I know the broker, and so she ended up coming into our meeting, and we're talking, and I said, "Hey, Penny, would you be interested in doing a sales challenge for the agents in your office?" And then I looked at Jackie after she said yes, and just smiled at her, and she smiled back. And so that was my way for Jackie to help Jackie out to get agents in the office so she can feed off that energy, and also help Penny get her agents into the office. And so we proposed the plan yesterday, and and we're going to do a sales challenge starting in March, and for 8 weeks. And she's going to give whoever's the top producing agent in that time frame Tiger's tickets for $100 each ticket start. And then we're going to do phase 2 of a challenge. And so it's going to be really cool.
That's really cool. I love it. Which, at the end of the day, provides you more at-bats.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so
I'm going to be hanging.
Beautiful.
And what I'm going to do is during those times that they have to in-office, it's Wednesdays from 10 until noon, I'm going to go there and I'm just going to work, and I'm going to do my daily calls and do whatever it is that I'd be doing on that day just in the office. It's a realtor, so if they have questions, if they need a client who needs to get pre-approved, I'll be sitting right next to them.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So, hey, Tim, let me ask you a question. When you guys, well, both of you guys actually, when you guys sit down and meet with clients, like consumers, Tim, how do you, give me an example, and I don't know how many applications you've taken, but talk to me a little bit about how your initial 15 minutes of conversation with your clients goes right when you meet them for the first time?
You mean a client that's like looking to get a pre-approval and all that?
Yes. Do you
Um,
meet most of your clients face-to-face?
Not really, to be honest with you. We send out the
Okay.
application link and they fill it out online.
Okay.
And
And why do you do it that way?
honestly, that's just the way that I've always done it for Jason.
Okay.
And they created a link for me, and I just kind of followed in the same footsteps. It's not to
Okay.
say that I don't meet with people ever. I have.
No,
It's just not the most common way for us to do it.
Okay.
I know that
Do
we're
you
trying to
prefer-
get away from that. We would prefer. I know that we would probably prefer to do it more face to face and kind of have that one-on-one, more intimate feel to such a big decision that they're trying to make in their life right now. So.
Right. Why do you think that is an important part of the process?
Well, I know for me, like when I bought my house, it was kind of important to put a face to the name and kind of have like the one-on-one time, build a little bit of rapport and things like
Okay.
that, rather than just filling out an application on the internet type of thing.
Okay. Do you think that if somebody never gets to meet you, that you're more likely to be shopped?
Oh, big time. Yep.
Okay. I completely agree with you. I had many times, we didn't have e-signature the way that we have it now when I was originating. But it was always, I could overnight you the package, I could fax it, I could, scan it and email it to you and so on and so forth. And any time that I put myself into that position to do that, I knew that there was a greater than 80% chance that I wouldn't close the loan.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just like there's no ability to, build a relationship. There's no loyalty. It's just, you're just another person at that point.
Right. The problem is that it's not that it becomes a point when if you're faxing them or emailing them documents, they believe that they're not worth your time. Okay?
Yeah.
The client may say, I'm too busy. The client may say, I can't get away. But that's when we have to decide how much value we're putting on not just that relationship, but again, the triangle of trust. The person who referred them to us, we have to believe that our job is to amplify that relationship. And that's why I was never afraid to travel. Like I didn't have a problem driving to somebody's house or going to their work for lunch or just whatever the situation that it called for. I always had my scheduled times that I met with clients, but if they ever wanted me to meet with them outside of the norm for my, what I set up as my business hours,
yeah,
I always blew up the fact that I was doing it. Meaning I always made them abundantly clear that I'm doing this because they were referred by so-and-so and that I'm absolutely going to need them to remember this because I don't do this for everybody. And not only do I need you to go back to so-and-so and say thank you, but I'm counting on you to refer me to somebody you care about. And two things happened. One, I solidified my chance to create a Gravy fan, and B, it created the likelihood that I was going to close that loan because I was going above and beyond what most people would have.
That makes sense.
And from that point, when you actually get to that place where you've decided with each client if you do or do not want to meet with them, when you meet with them, what does your dialogue look like? Like, what do you talk about? Do you have a presentation that you enter into religiously before you start talking about mortgages? Do you have a presentation that you just do not deviate from?
I mean, not exactly. It's just a lot of asking questions more than anything.
Okay, so you ask questions, but you ask questions before you validated who you are.
I would say that's probably accurate, yeah.
Meaning you start asking questions before. I mean, it's not like we have the word doctor next to our name or we have a degree from Harvard hanging behind us or we have anything other than, just what we say is our value proposition. So when you start asking questions, that's the genuine thing to do because you care and you want to figure out. but you don't lay any framework to set the context of what you're talking about. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
David, what about you, brother?
So I recently changed it, thanks to you, on how I do my initial presentation. So one thing that I did kind of recently is I hung up my degree in my office, and so they see I have a finance degree, which helps gain credibility. But what I always start out the initial conversation with, before we get started with the mortgage stuff, and I ask you all these questions. I want to tell you a little bit more about myself, so you know more about me. I tell them that I graduated from Western Michigan University with a degree in finance and a minor in economics. And then I go into saying that there's really outside of that, there's three things that make me different from other loan officers or other loan officers that might be at a bank or other mortgage companies. And I go into the managing fears and expectations. I tell them a story about how I managed the fears of a client that broke down and started crying. And then I go into the negotiation piece. And then I go into I'm not drawing a blank on the third one. Managing fears and expectations, negotiating, and peeling away the layers. We're going to, when during this conversation, we're going to peel away the layers to find out what your needs are, what your wants are, so we put you in a position to succeed. I always start with that now, and the initial conversation is so much better. The initial meeting, initial conversation, it's the reception section. Now they know a little bit more about me, and then I go into asking them questions.
Tim, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Cool. So I always have felt that we just jump into the meat and potatoes of what we do for a living because we don't have anything else to talk about. And we hope that through the dialogue we find ways to connect with our clients and our audience. I have found it to be significantly more beneficial, especially from the consultant role, if that's what we talk about, if we actually start by explaining what it means to be a consultant, not the definition, but what we believe is the meaning behind us being a consultant. So I know I told you this story, Dave, but last summer I built some landscaping steps in my backyard. What's that? And I had never built I'd never built outdoor stairs before, especially not on the side of a hill. I had really no idea, what to do. So my first inclination was, well, let's go to Home Depot. Let's go buy some materials and we'll figure this out. Walked into Home Depot, and you know how they have those greeters? And the greeters are typically, retirees or people that have a part-time job. And sometimes it's a woman, sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a senior, sometimes it's a kid. I mean, it's hit or miss. And most of the time, I've never really paid any attention to these guys because I know exactly what I'm doing. Well, this time I walked in, and the guy standing there said, can I help you find anything? Which is what they usually say. And I said, yeah, you know what? I'm building some landscaping steps, and I've never done it before. I don't even know where to begin. This guy looks at me with wide eyes and goes, I used to do landscaping for 25 years. Follow me. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you're kidding me. I found a guy that done this for 25 years, and he works at Home Depot? That's crazy. Fast forward an hour. I'm in the checkout. I'm swiping my credit card, and I'm walking back out to my car. And as I'm sitting here analyzing what happened as I'm loading all the materials into my trailer, I'm like, son of a bitch. I just bought supplies, and I don't even remember how much I spent. And I just spent an hour and a half with a guy that I've never met before, and I didn't question one thing he told me. I didn't question one of the drawings he gave me, and I didn't question one piece of material that he told me to buy. I didn't even question the price. I'm like, oh my God. That is a perfect example of how I ran my practice for 20 years. I walked into a shop and somebody looked at me and said, I've done this before. I got this. Come on, I'll show you. And every time he connected with me and taught me and explained to me what I was doing, He was pulling the fears and the anxieties that I had out in my head, and he got me to trust him every step of the way. So when it actually came time to buying the materials, I didn't give a rat's behind what I spent because I got peace of mind. And I believed at the end of it, wrong or right, that this guy helped me and saved me a ton of aggravation. Can you guys all relate to that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tim?
Yep.
The point is that I could have gone and shopped for materials and got a 30% savings going to Menards, Lowe's, wherever. I didn't. I went to one place. I didn't shop because I wasn't price conscious when I found the person who taught me what I needed to know and took all my fears away. I went home confident, did exactly what he told me to do. And you know what ended up happening? I got a set of damn good stairs, which to me is just the icing on the cake. That analogy, my friends, is exactly the way our business needs to be treated. When our clients walk into us, our job is to convince them that they need to trust us. And part of that trust is not jumping into the mortgage process. It's to give them a level of confidence and comfort in who we are. So my 5-step process that I did religiously, and I'm recording this so you guys can go back and replay it. The first one was building rapport. And the building rapport conversation goes a little bit like this. So, Tim, David, so Jay Sprague referred you to me. Wow, that's really cool. I think Jay's like the coolest guy ever. And I'm thrilled to death that he felt confident enough in me and my services to refer you to me. But just out of curiosity, what did he say about me that made you guys feel comfortable in meeting with me or calling me? And you guys would say, whatever it was. Now let me teach you guys something about psychology. When you get somebody else talking to you about the positives about you, you become infinitely more credible. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
When somebody else talks about you positively to you, it creates validity in who you are. On top of that, you're now learning what they want from you. If they say you took care of them through the process and answered all their questions and managed their fears, well, what do you think you have to do to get a referral from this person? Make notes of what they say at that moment, and you will become infinitely more connected to them through the rest of the process. Kind of genius, isn't it?
Yeah. You're like asking without asking.
Oh my God, what did Jay say about me? And he's like, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. And you're like, that's what they love about you, and that's why they're there. That's because they remembered it. So you're amplified, and they're talking about you, and you now know more about them than they even recognize. Part one. You spend the first couple minutes talking about that, chit-chatting, finding a rapport, finding a connection, and when they tell you these things, you're like, oh my gosh, God, you know what, in all fairness, I love that. I think Jay, you know, what Jay just said is one of the reasons why I'm so successful and why I'm so particular about the people I choose to work with. See, it's vitally important that you guys know some things about me and the way my business works. See, guys like Jay require people to perform at a very high level, and the only way my team and I was able to do that is because we came to an agreement in the beginning of our relationship, and that was, I know that I'm not the best loan officer for every person that I meet, but I do believe I'm the best person to talk to about what your mortgage options are, because I only care about one thing, and that's you going back to Jay and saying thank you. So as we go through this process, we're going to talk a lot about things, and I want you guys to know it's okay if at the end of this conversation, if you decide that I'm not the right person for the job, I want you to know it's okay to say I'm not the right person. But on the same token, because I'm very, very particular about the clients I take on, because my business grows only by your willingness to refer me to the people you care about, I'm also going to ask for the same permission, that if at the end of our conversation I don't feel like I'm going to be able to deliver, I want you guys to be okay with me saying I'm not a good fit. But either way, however this goes, I want you to know that my only concern right now is to make sure you go back to Jay and say thank you. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Step 2, that's called the permission to reject. That psychologically takes all of the fear of selling on your audience's part out, because you've given them an out.
My call dropped, and I missed the last minute of the call. Could you revisit what you just mentioned?
You know what, buddy? I recorded the call, so you can go back and listen
to it.
Oh, yeah,
That's true. Okay.
Yep. Because I only got 15 more minutes, and I just want to make sure I get through it. But by all means,
that's
true.
True.
if you want to call me after and you. Okay. Yeah. Tim, does that make sense, brother?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you see how powerful that is?
Oh yeah, big time.
It takes all of the angst and all of the fear and all of the nervousness out, because you've given somebody the permission to say no, which is what they're thinking in their heads in the first place. They're asking you, not verbally, but in their head, they're going, why do I want to use him? And if you're not clearly addressing that, next, you're missing the point. So your client walks in thinking, I don't even know why I want to use him. And your conversation with the first stage, which is building rapport, the second stage, permission, the permission to reject, brings you to the whole triangle of trust script, which we've gone over before. David, Tim, do you remember, did we go over the triangle of trust?
We did, yes, I believe so.
It basically means that my role here today is to make sure at the very least that you go back to Jay and say thank you. And if I'm able to get you to do that, then undoubtedly I've got your goals, wants, and needs at the forefront of every conversation that we're having. And that, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is the only thing that matters to me. I would love to earn your business, but I realize, like I said, I'm not the only person that you guys can get a mortgage from. But my hopes is that at the very least, I have a chance to get Jay to hear thank you from you guys. And by default, I undoubtedly keep building my relationship up with Jay just by doing what's right by you guys. So that's essentially the triangle of trust. And I go into it in a variety of different ways, but the message is clear. Now, as we go through and that's step 3. Step 4 is, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I'm very, very clear on the realities of buying a home. It is not easy. It is very, very difficult to buy a home. If you haven't bought a home in the last 30 days, it's gotten infinitely harder since the last time. And part of the process is there are literally 100 things that could go wrong. And here's a sheet that outlines all of them for you. The problem is that no matter how many times I prepare you guys for the worst, I realize that at some point in the process, you guys are going to hate me. You really are. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to ask you for something and you're going to get upset and I'm going to say, I understand, and I'm going to tell you right now that we're going to have this conversation about how it's not me asking for this stuff. I've tried every possible. I just want you to realize I fully anticipate you guys hating me at some point during the process. And every time I said that, the clients would laugh. Every time the clients would laugh, they would go, oh my gosh, I don't think so. I get it. I totally understand. And then every now and again, I'd have a client who their eyes would go wide open and be like, really? Why? And then I would go, that's because look at all these things that could go wrong. There are literally 300 pieces of paper that go through the process. There's probably 45 people whose hands touch your file. There's probably no less than 130 signatures that you have to sign on all 300 documents. And my job is to make sure it all comes together in 30 to 45 days flawlessly. Can you guys agree that's probably a difficult process? Oh, God. So just understand, I totally get, and I don't take it personally, but I want you guys to realize, I get it. You guys are going to hate me. You're going to send me a pay stub, and then I'm going to call you back and say it's not going to work, and you're going to be like, why not? And you're going to be like, well, here's why. And we're just going to go, and it could be a bank statement, it could be your employment verification, it could be anything. But just know going into this, I get it. I don't take it personally, and please understand I don't want you guys to take it personally. Is that fair? They're like, yeah, we get it. We're fair. So I think that we are, I think this will work. So my process requires my clients to be very clear on a couple agreements that I have. One, when I ask you for something, you guys need to realize it's vitally important that you get it to me in a timely fashion, because there are so many other things that go, that go into this, that your attention to detail helps to ensure that we deliver the process perfectly on time. Secondly is that I've asked you already to go back to Jay and say thank you, which I agree. You guys have agreed that you will, and I'd love that. But as we go through the process, if you guys agree to work with me, I'm also going to need you guys to commit that you guys, if we earn the right to, will refer me to somebody you care about. See, ultimately what I want to do is get you to be just like Jay. I want you to be a raving fan of mine. I want you to get phone calls from the people you care about thanking you for putting them in touch with me, which is what you're going to do for Jay. And I think if I do that, how can this process go wrong in any corner? Because that's what I'm after from today until the time that we close. And I would love to make you guys a raving fan. I just want your agreement that if we agree to work together, that those things that you guys will be committed to. And every time I would ask that, every time they would say thank you, and they would. That would be step 5. That's the proper foundation in which a relationship starts, and then you ask them for their pay stubs, their bank statements, your W-2s. Why do you think that 5-step process is so vital?
Because you're laying everything out in front of them of how your process works. You're building that rapport with them, saying, "Hey, this is how you work. I'd like to earn your business if we're the right fit," and you're giving them the choice to work with you, or the choice not to. I mean, it's
hard to put in words,
telling you how
isn't
it is.
It is.
What?
Yeah. You're just telling you how it is.
Aren't I being a consultant?
Yeah.
Yep.
Am I being a salesperson?
No.
I'm a consultant, right? If I truly believe that, then the first 5 steps of this process is me being a consultant. This is me educating, me telling them who I am, what I'm about, and for them to get an understanding of where I'm going to be coming from through the rest of the process. This part of the process is where everybody who doesn't understand it fails. This is why we only receive a 20% return on our investment and not an 80% return on our investment when it comes to our clients. 20% of our clients will refer us just because that's who they are. 60% will refer us because we ask them for help, but we don't set the stage correctly to let them know that you will be asking them for help. And if you get their agreement before you start talking about mortgages, guess what happens? When you ask them for help, they'll be like, yep, I have no problem. Just like Tim going back to Jay and saying thank you, right?
Yep.
Do you see the madness behind this? Do you see how cleverly, ridiculously simple and powerful this is?
That's great. That's absolutely great. Crazy as in, not crazy as in bad, but crazy as in, I can see how that would just work flawlessly.
It works flawlessly if you do it continuously and intentionally, and you make that your calling card. You want somebody to remember you, it isn't your business card. I've been out of originating since 2012, guys, and I'm still getting referrals from my database. People I haven't talked to in 5, 6. Yeah, they remember one thing, and that I built my business on referrals and relationships, and I make people feel good for knowing me. And that's what they remember when they hear somebody talk about mortgages. They automatically go, oh, I remember Doug. He was awesome. He helped my mom. He helped my brother. He helped my uncle. He helped my friend. He helped my colleague. I mean, that's why I get so many repeat customers coming back and why I still get referrals from them. They don't remember their rates. They don't remember their fees. They don't remember the stress of the process because I prepared them for it. The intro is 5. The foundation of where you start your conversations at, guys, sets the stage literally for the rest of the process. It really does. Go back, listen to the call, break it down. First step, build rapport. Step 2, permission to reject. Step 3, triangle of trust. Step 4, you're going to hate me. Step 5, the agreement. Then start talking about W-2s, pay stubs, and bank statements. And you know what you'll find is that your clients are going to be like, wow, this is a consultant. And you're no longer going to be compared to everybody else that does what you do. However, everybody else is going to be compared to how you do it. And I guarantee you, if they start rate shopping you, they're not going to hear this from anybody else. They're not. They're going to be like, well, this isn't the same. This person doesn't understand what I want. Clever?
What do you do? What do you do, Doug, when you say you're working on this initial conversation, but they don't seem they just can't, they won't meet you in person. Like, you got to do it all over the phone, and it's just that's the way that they, with their work or whatnot. How, does that I guess you go through the same process. But how would you treat that?
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. This is the greatest conversation ever. You know what, Mr. and Mrs., you know what, Tim, David, I appreciate you guys have busy schedules, and I understand, I do too. But I have found that if I were to call my doctor up and ask them for a diagnosis of an illness that I feel like I have over the phone, they're going to tell me, I understand, Mr. Catteray, but you got to come in. There's no way we could diagnose your issues until we've done an examination. I believe that my process is not life-threatening, but I believe that my process is very much similar, as it requires us to kind of dig deep with a lot of details. I was referred to you by Jason, and I would actually be doing you a disservice if I didn't try my hardest to meet with you in person, because I don't believe that I'm going to be as successful at delivering what you guys are expecting of me, because I don't think I can perform my job of consulting with you in enough detail if we only do it over the phone, because I only have one of you here. And the hard part with that is that I don't feel like all the information is disseminated correctly. And if we're trying to get this closed in 30 to 45 days, it's really something that I take very seriously. And I believe that I'm not the right person for everybody. And by no means do I tell you that you have to use me. I would love to earn your business. But in order for me to do that, either we have to have an agreement right now over the phone that this is the way we're going to do it, and I'm going to ask you for certain things, or we're simply just going to say, part as friends, go like, you know what, it just wasn't to make sense, and you need somebody that's going to, do it via the email and whatnot, and never meet with you. But if you go down that path, I want to email you a list of 100 things that could go wrong. Just make sure that if you go down that path, you pay attention to this list, because there's a lot of things that go wrong because because there's not enough consulting going on. Because I pride myself, and that's one of the 3 things that I do most for my clients, which is consult.
Wow. Huh. I answered that question.
That's when you just go. That's when you just drop the mic and be like, "I'm done."
Yeah,
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses.
Doug's a wordsmith. I'll give him that.
What's that?
I said you're quite the wordsmith. I'll give you that.
I've been doing this for so long, guys. I've met with every question and every challenge. So going back and listening to these conversations is imperative for your growth. Taking a bit of it and applying it, reading into the reality of you're not going to get every client, but you want to put them on notice that you're going to reject them before they're going to reject you. And your job requires you to consult with them. I'm not opposed to not meeting with you, but I can't do what you're asking me to do if I only have one of you here. But as long as you tell them that up front and they're like, yep, no, I get it, we're going to go through the process, and be like, okay, we'll go through it. By then, they already know that you're a consultant. And then you can talk to them about the 5-step process and engage in that with them. And if they still feel comfortable, then you move forward. I was never good at it. But I know loan officers that are extremely good at it. So I think it's just something that it's a craft that you've got to develop and learn. I just always manipulated my clients to meet with me. because it makes no sense for me to take a loan app over the phone and do it all via the mail, because it was pointless unless they were so far physically removed from me that I really laid into the referral source and made that referral source realize that in order for me to do this, I just got to let you know I'm doing this long distance is hard. Just make sure you tell the client that it's impaired. I mean, and so I would find creative ways to make sure that client, that relationship was leveraged. So it's not impossible. It's just not my preferred mode. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, makes complete sense.
Awesome. You guys have any questions for me, or at least anything else?
No, I really appreciate it. I plan on going back and probably listen to it again, and I accept the challenge. I'm gonna try and get those 7 meetings before next week, and continue to learn and grow by throwing myself in the fire to an extent.
Don't throw yourself into the fire. Just sit close enough to it where you keep warm.
Sure.
Hey,
All right.
Doug, I got one other thing, because our first conversation, you gave me a lecture about the word try, and
I was hoping you'd pick up on that.
yeah, and so could you give Tim the same lecture you gave me? Real quick.
I want you to give Tim. I want you to give Tim the lecture because you're on the call with us.
All right, cool. So Tim, when Doug and I first started talking, I kept saying, I'll try to do this, I'll try to do that, and he goes, are you going to try to do it, or are you going to do it? And so then it shifted me from saying I'm going to try to saying I will do it, and it makes you more accountable, saying that you're actually going to do it, and instead of just saying, I'm going to try to, because trying isn't really you're not guaranteeing yourself. You're not saying
I guess
to yourself
trying gives
that
you
you're
an
going to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying is a powerless word. You either do or do not pick up a pencil. You either do or do not answer the telephone. You either do or you do not take your business seriously. Either you do or do not have the conversation. It's not a matter of trying. It's a matter of just doing it imperfectly, but doing it. See, the audience that you guys are talking to doesn't know any different. You guys don't know how many times I've said this in 1,000 different ways. All you hear is what I'm sharing with you today. And you believe that I'm a quote-unquote wordsmith, which I laugh at because if you knew me personally, I'm a bumbling idiot half the time. But the reality is you're hearing me talk, but you hear it because I'm mentoring it to your language, to your styles. And so you love it. Well, guess what? You can say this 100 different ways, and the message still comes across effectively. See, your audience doesn't know it any differently. They'll just remember the words that you share and how it made them feel. I don't need you to recite it verbatim. I need you just to understand the 5 bullet points. Build rapport, permission to reject, triangle of trust, you're going to hate me in the agreement. That's it. Then go back and do what you always do, which is do your loan. Do your loan officer duties. But this intro, this 5-step process of being an originator is what's going to help amplify and grow your business so that when you reach those moments of referability and the client says thank you, you can go, thanks for noticing. You remember that I count on people just like you to refer me to the people they care about. Please remember to not keep me a secret. Bam. Done. Wow. That's powerful shit, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it works like it
All right,
works.
guys.
I mean,
It does. You know what you do, you have, and then what you start doing, you start having fun with it, because like we started the call with, guys, when you know what the outcome's going to be before you even open your mouth, because what you say is going to lead them to exactly where you want them to be, good God, that is fun. God, it puts you in such a control. It gives you such power to orchestrate situations that make your clients feel good and to make you look like a rock star. I mean, honestly, no other loan officer that you're talking to is doing this. No other client is ever going to hear this. No other realtor has ever run into a loan officer that speaks like this. Come on. That's why it should be so easy and exciting for you, Tim, to pick up the phone and be like, I've got 7 realtors I can share this with, and I'm going to get high fives from them, and they're going to love me and want to talk to me some more. Whew. And I'd be on the phone every day being like, who can I talk to? Who's willing to listen? It's like I'm a minister. Like I'm preaching the word. Everybody wants to hear me. Now, obviously, you're not going to be arrogant about it, but you also got to realize that most of the realtors that you talk to, they're not going to care. They're realtors. They don't know how to balance a checkbook, let alone understand what it means to run a practice. Truly,
Yeah.
they don't understand what it means to run a business. Most of them have a job. They have a job. I mean, Dave, do you remember those steps that I showed you?
Oh yeah.
And I know I haven't shown Tim this, but remind me next week, Tim, and I'll show you the evolution of business for everyone in our industry, and you'll realize that when you talk to somebody, if they're beneath you and they don't want to be you, let them go. If they're above you, then you want to be with them and learn how they do it, and you can handle your conversations infinitely different.
Right. Okay.
Just remind me next week to talk to you about your business evolution.
Okay.
Okay.
Stairway to freedom.
Yep, I hear "Stairway to Heaven" song playing in the back.
Hey, it's a good song.
Yep. Tim, was this a good class?
Yes, as always, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You got something out of it today?
I did, and I look forward to going into next week, and I will get those 7 meetings. I will do that.
Okay. There should be nothing stopping you because there's no fear you should have anymore. I'm going to make you both the prize so that the realtors who see you as being the prize want to be around you. I'm going to make you guys the prize. You guys are going to help yourselves do it, but I'm going to give you all the tools and all this wordsmithing that I can do to help you guys become that prize. And I'm serious. These aren't words you've never heard before, guys. They're just being put in a way that makes you more valuable. So it goes back to, what is the one thing that makes us different than everybody else? It's the words that we choose to use.
Yep.
But it has to be in congruency and alignment with your heart. You have to believe it in your heart that this is your value system, and your mind has to understand it, and your words have to come out through your mouth. So I don't think I'm teaching you guys things that you guys don't believe in your heart, because I believe that each of you guys are really, really strong individuals with high moral and integrity. So all I'm doing is taking what you already believe you're worth, giving you the words to articulate what your value is, and teaching you how to say it to your audience so that you don't feel like you have to lean on people. That's all I got, boys.
Hey,
All right, man.
One other quick thing. When you talk about loan officers that are in a position of need and want, I brought that up in a couple of my meetings on yesterday, actually, and also with Tim, with the intro that he talks about, the realtor's jaw will drop when you say, the good fit for me, good fit for you. Stop the meeting, and I'll do the same. Their jaw will. I've been doing that. Their jaw drops. It's crazy, but the needs versus wants differences in loan officers, like I brought that up, and that actually was really, it helped, it geared the conversation. We had a great conversation about it. It was cool.
Awesome.
But
yeah, looking forward to next week, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Tim,
hey,
if you want,
I was going to say, again, if you guys need anything, you guys don't have to wait till next week. I love hearing feedback. I love hearing questions. Send me an email. I'm engaged with my calls beyond just the phone call itself. So if I can help you guys, if you guys are getting ready for a presentation, if you guys are getting ready to do something, or if you guys need some help with some last minute prep work for anything, or want to role play, just pick up the call, pick up the phone, give me a call.
cool. Thanks, Doug.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Be safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Sounds
Yeah, you
good.
too. We'll
Hey,
talk to you then.
Tim, if you want to go through, like,